Yes.
It says Lucy, and my middle sister's name is Lucy.
Oh, really? Cool.
She didn't give me a box.
Yeah.
I wrote a couple books.
Did you read it? You gonna maybe read it sometime? Cool. Now the illustrations are from my cousin, who was an illustrator for a greeting card company called Hallmark. So she really knew how to do illustrations. And the name of it is Lucy Finds the Kingdom of Snerdwonk. Can you say Snerdwonk?
Snerdwonk.
Yeah, it's an odd name, no doubt about that. Okay, well, let's start.
Wait a minute.
Okay? Oh, we have some pictures too as we go along. We have some pictures as we go along, and Scarlett is going to kind of hold them up. And I can just look at them every now and then, make sure, yeah, that's it. That's Lucy. Okay, chapter 1. When her eyes finished moving around the cave, Lucy realized that she'd been lying on this uncomfortable bed of rock for a long time. Number 1, her back was sore and stiff and ached all over. And number 2, there was very little light coming from the small hole at the top of the cave. The hole that she must have fallen through while climbing that afternoon in her old granite hills that surround her grandfather's farm. Getting to her feet, Lucy felt a big bump on the back of her head. Oh, great, she thought. I'm lost in a cave, and I'm so sore I can hardly move. Not only that, but it's almost dark outside, and my grandpa is probably still working in the vat room testing the grapes that he's planning to make into wine. When it is time to make the wine, Grandpa works late almost every night. As Grandpa says, when the grapes are ready, they must be picked. Lucy felt very tired and closed her eyes, thinking someone would miss her and soon come and find her. And she was asleep soon. The next morning, Lucy observed that the cave was bigger than it first appeared to her. There were 2 rock piles on one side and a small pool of water on the other side. Behind the pool was an opening that looked like it might lead out of the cave. Lucy waded across the pool of water, stopping to wash the back of her head and take a drink. The water tasted salty, and Lucy stopped drinking. She reached the opening in the rock and peered in. She saw a path that went down sharply and then disappeared into the darkness. Lucy started down the path slowly, for it was very steep. When she saw the eyes, she stopped. There were several sets of eyes, all looking directly at Lucy. She could see nothing but eyes, but they looked friendly and warm and quite curious. There you go. In a flash, a wee green creature jumped out in front of Lucy. She was so startled that she couldn't move. The small person had huge eyes and a big grin on his face. It appeared to be a smile because its big teeth were showing. "You have come to us with no invitation," the little man announced. Lucy could not speak. Other tiny people appeared all around her. Who are you?" Lucy asked. "Who are we?" The question that requires an immediate answer is, who are you? Well, my name is Lucy, and I fell through a hole in the ground and landed in the cave back by that pool of water, and I'm just trying to find my way home, blurted Lucy. All was quiet for what seemed a long time. "Well, before we help you out of our home," the small green man said, "would you help us with a problem that only a human, a large human, such as you could help us with?" "What can I do?" Lucy answered. The little man looked up at Lucy and looked her up and down and said, "My name is Glink, and I am the president of the Kingdom of Snerdwonk. At least I was before the box of numbers fell from the top, as you did. The box of numbers has taken a position by our king and has become his foremost advisor. What is the box of numbers? Asked Lucy. Blink continued as if he had not heard her question. The box of numbers tells the king when to sleep and when we must gather striped stone for breakfast. It even tells the king when to dwizzle. Dwizzle? Lucy wondered. Chapter 2. As they walked along the path toward the kingdom, Lucy had a chance to sort things out. She was going with these little people because they seemed to really need her and she needed them. However, she sure wished she was sitting on her grandpa's lap listening to one of his funny stories. She liked staying with her grandpa while her parents were traveling on business, but right now, she seemed to have to help these little people. Just around a very sharp turn in the path appeared a tight squeeze in the rock path. The little green people stopped and waited for Lucy to catch up. Lucy, I'm not sure that you can fit between those rocks, stated Glink. So you must unsnurculate. Lucy stared blankly at Glink. Unsnurculate. You know, vensnurculate, to remove one's arms and legs, to vensnurculate. Surely you must have the ability to vensnurculate. Lucy shook her head. Watch us, Lucy. Lucy thought surely Glink was kidding. He was not. He removed his green arm and placed it on the other side of the rock squeeze. Then he removed his other arm and one leg. Standing, perched on the other leg, Glink fell through the rocks. When he was on the other side, he reconstructed himself by screwing on his arms and leg. Lucy was speechless. She was amazed when all of the other Lenfrippers did exactly as Glink had done and were safely on the other side of the giant rock squeeze. Lucy had no idea how she was going to get through. The opening appeared too small for her to slide through and just too short for her to crawl under. Her only hope was to find another way around those rocks. You saw the picture of the little...
Yes, she's got it.
As the Lenfrippers looked on, Lucy started around the back side of the rock. But on her first step, she tripped over a little stone and fell right into the rocks that made up the rock squeeze. One of the rocks moved as Lucy stumbled into it. It moved just enough, so she thought she might be able to get through. Are you all right, Lucy? Called Glink. I think you've moved the rock. She said, yes, I think I'm okay. Outstanding. Try to slide through the squeeze. Lucy began to squeeze through, and in a moment, she was on the other side with her new friends. Okay, let's be off, said Glink. There's so little time. They're going to the castle.
We don't have that.
There's the king. Okay, I don't know, I didn't make a copy of that one. Okay. Chapter 3. When they got close to the kingdom, Lucy could see that all of the houses, barns, and the castle itself were carved from stone. It looked like a castle from a fairy tale she had once read. Glink stopped them. We must get into the king's sitting room and take that box of numbers without being seen. Asteroid and Delphoid, take Lucy to the back of the castle and wait until the box of numbers makes its sound, or sounds the alarm for dwizzling. Then as the king and all the Lenfrippers are dwizzling, you three rush quickly into the castle and take the box of numbers. We'll meet back here by the big rock and then we'll try and help you return to the top, Lucy. Everyone agreed that Glink's plan might just work. Now we have only a short while before dwizzling, so Asteroid, be off. As they approached the rear of the castle, Lucy couldn't help thinking about dwizzling. Asteroid, tell me, what is dwizzling? Oh, it's very relaxing, replied Asteroid. Except now, with the box of numbers sounding the alarm, we cannot dwizzle when we feel like it. But I know, but what is dwizzling? Oh, you topsiders are really quite simple, aren't you? You don't venscirculate, and now you're telling me you don't dwizzle. Dwizzling is like flying. We Lenfrippers can become perfectly weightless and simply float around in the air without falling. It's very much like being a kite, I suppose. We can stay in the air and travel where the wind takes us. However, since our king has discovered this box of numbers, things have changed. When the box of numbers sounds an alarm, we all fall from the air and land on the rocks. Some time ago, the king said that we were drizzling too much and not gathering enough stone to sell to our neighbors, the flang twits. That is when the box of numbers started to sound the alarm. It's said that the box sounds the alarm every hour on the hour. We don't know what that means, but the alarm sounds so often that drizzling is only done on special occasions now. If we can get our hands on that box, we hope to return to our old ways. Oh, I understand, said Lucy. Today is Gore Day in our kingdom. It's a holiday and everyone will be drizzling, even the king. It'll be our one chance to get that box. Suddenly the alarm sounded and a small green people started floating up into the air. Delphoid and Estroid had to hold on to Lucy so they wouldn't float off. They came to the back door of the castle and it was open. Once inside, they went up the stairs to the king's sitting room to fetch the box. Lucy opened the door and looked straight ahead. She saw the box of numbers. It was a clock. It was just an ordinary alarm clock. She also saw two large openings in the ceiling of the room leading to the ground up above. Lucy had an idea. I'm going to take the clock and I'm going to return to topside through those openings. Please, would you tell Blink and the others that I shall try to return to your kingdom one day? She told that to Delphoid and Estroid. Oh, thank you ever so much, Lucy. Do come back, won't you? Lucy grabbed the clock in one hand and started up through the largest opening. The alarm sounded at worst time. She could see daylight when she heard the loud cry. Hurry, Lucy, hurry! Estroid was screaming at her. Lucy thought that the king must have come in just in time to see her legs going through the opening. Suddenly, Lucy lost her grip on the clock and it started to fall. As she reached out for it, she lost her balance and fell all the way to the floor of the king's sitting room. The king was staring at the remains of the clock. Actually, there was very little left of the clock. Lucy had fallen right on top of it. Who are you and what have you done to my box of numbers? The king roared. A very mean look came over the king's face. You will be sent to the freezing factory to be frozen for the rest of time. Your friends, Estroid and Delphoid, will go with you, and someday we will catch that Glink and his misguided followers. The king was an unhappy-looking little dwarf. Take them to the factory for public freezing tomorrow morning, he told the guards. She's off to the freezing factory. When they arrived at the freezing factory, two Lenfreppers were removed from their limbs except their right hands before being placed in the cell. They were allowed to keep one arm to eat with. I'm so upset I can't eat, said Delphoid. What shall we do, Lucy asked Estroid. I can think of nothing. I'm afraid the king will have us frozen and there's just nothing we can do. Lucy started to cry. All three cried for a long time and then tried not to go to sleep because if they fell asleep, they would awake to die. So the three of them talked all night about Lucy's grandpa's farm, Delphoid's Aunt Agatha, who refused to wear clothes, and Estroid's children, of which she had 23. Early in the morning, Lucy felt something uncomfortable in the left pocket of her pants. It felt like a stone. She wouldn't have felt it had she not been lying on that side all night, as they talked. When she put her hand into her pocket, she remembered she had been carrying her little orphan Annie watch around with her in her pocket for 2 days. She examined it. The watch was still working. Lucy had an idea. what if I gave the king the watch in return for our safety and our freedom? The king will have to agree or we will die, Lucy thought. It was not a big alarm clock, but it was a small box of numbers. And the king had no other box of numbers. It was worth a try, she decided. She told Asteroid and Delphoid of her plan, and they agreed. Lucy called to the guard and told him that she had to see the king. Finally, the guard agreed to take her to the unhappy king's sitting room. Well, human, what do you want? Asked the king angrily. I will give you a small box of numbers for the safety of Asteroid, Delphoid, Glink and his followers, and of course myself, stated Lucy. Well, where will you get this box of numbers that you didn't have yesterday? Laughed the king. I will get it. Well, give me the box of numbers and you will be safe. I will give you the box of numbers only when my friends are free and safe, and I am on my way out of Snerdwonk, Lucy said, looking up towards the openings in the ceiling. All right, get the others, King said. In a minute, Asteroid and Delphoid were standing beside Lucy, hoping that the plan would work. I wish to talk to Asteroid and Delphoid privately, requested Lucy. Well, be on with it, said the king. Lucy told them that the wristwatch would only last for about 6 months because it had a very small battery and the battery would run down. And she said, but I will try and return someday to Snerdwonk. You can come to Snerdwonk, Lucy, only by invitation, not when you want. If we can't stop the king from listening to your box of numbers and the battery doesn't run out, then we will have to invite you once again. Enough, bellowed the king. You two be gone. Give me that box of numbers and be off. Asteroid and Delphoid said goodbye to Lucy and ran out of the castle. Lucy waited until they were far from the castle, then started up the opening. She turned and handed the watch to the king. She could hear the king laughing loudly. She climbed up onto the ground. She looked around and decided she was in her grandpa's garden right next to the house. She went to the back door. Grandpa was having breakfast. He looked up as Lucy came in. Lucy, where have you been? She sat at the table and Lucy spent the next 2 hours telling her grandpa what had happened in the kingdom. When she finished, she went out to the garden to see the opening Lucy had come through to get home. They looked and looked, couldn't find any sign of a hole in the ground. When will you think you'll be going back to see your little friends, Lucy asked Grandpa. Only when I receive an invitation, Grandpa. The end. Questions?
Was Lucy Scarlett?
No, this is predates Scarlett. This is before Scarlett, so. But now, yes, it is Scarlett.
Can you tell us about the process that you went through to write this book, to have it put into a real book?
That's one question first, yeah.
Do you like making books?
Do I like what?
Making books.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. This was fun. I did this, I can't remember exactly when. It's been a long time since I wrote this.
I think I was a kid.
Kids were
And
little.
So like
I think
30
Heather,
something years
Scarlett's
ago.
mother was a kid. So that's how long it's been. But it's fun to do. And, you know, my, as I said, my cousin, who's about my same age, was a great illustrator. And she did the illustrations. So it's very fun. I gave this to Scarlett, I don't remember when. I said to Scarlett, I hope to read your book someday. But the process involves, you can see, it's got like a paper cover. It's not a hard cover, but it was pretty simple to put together. We had a printer print off some copies. So,
What about the whole, the
Draft.
creation and
the creation.
like revisions, editing process?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, I kind of, this was almost like a stream of thought kind of thing. You know, when you get a really great idea and it's like you have all the answers kind of before you start. That's kind of the way this was. So, kind of thought about kind of what I wanted to do, and I just had all of these weird people and weird names in my head, and they just had to come out. Adam,
How much books have you made?
just 2.
What's the other one?
Well, the other one, I don't even have here. It's about
send it
a
here
couple
too.
of kids who stowed away
It's good.
accidentally stowed away on a
It's
steamer,
good, I'll bring it.
on a big boat. Accidentally got caught on a big boat out to sea. So it's kind of interesting. And
It's
different
not-
illustrator
it's
for
not
that,
silly.
but,
What was the other book?
can't remember.
What?
The other
What's the
book,
name
what's
of
the
it?
name of that thing?
No,
Stowaway, something,
Stowaway,
stowaway,
something
something like that?
it's a little older,
Yeah, it's,
not quite as goofy.
yeah, it doesn't have the goofy names, it's kind of more like a normal book. But I love to read, so, I think, what really helps in writing books is reading books. That's really that's where you learn about how to do it. Yes,
Do you have
Fancy.
more of those actually mine?
no, I have more of these, yeah. Yeah. You can buy one for $500.
Yeah, I was starting saving up my money.
I wouldn't, I probably wouldn't pay that much for it myself.
What would it be like?
I would say probably about, you'd probably get it at a yard sale or something for $1.
One
If you could find it, maybe less. So, any other questions?
Maybe how did,
Well, thank you very much, that was fun.
Wait, she had another
Thanks for having
question.
me.
Wait, she had a question, Dad.
Oh,
I think you can't hear.
Sophie,
You can't hear.
He's done.
I don't want it.
He's gone.
All right, no,